What are you doing? I'll tell you what you're doing. You're listening to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Either you are, or I'll be skipping rope with your entrails. Ta-ta.
This is the Elder Scrolls Lorecast, your source for lore and so much more. Adventurers, welcome back to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. You've got me, Tom, and Lotus as usual, and we are digging back into the Iceberg. We're on episode 10 of the Iceberg, and we've got plenty more to cover, and some really weird ones today. I think this is maybe my favorite group so far.
Yeah, these are a little screwed up. Also, just for the weather in New England, we need some iceberg right now because it is currently 102 degrees outside.
That's
Fahrenheit
insane. That's
with
insane.
an 82% humidity.
That's ridiculous. Like, are you in Florida? Because
we've decided to take your weather and bring it up north and ruin everything.
That's weird. Well, at least you have the swamps or the Florida man. So you've got that going for you.
You know what? I'll still take it then. This is better.
No alligators. But anyway, we're going to Tamriel, not Boston or Florida or anything like that. But hey, let's talk about entry number 52 on this iceberg list. And if you're new to the iceberg list, this is one that I pulled from. It was the longest one I could possibly find that somebody put together on like Reddit. And so we've been going through and adding our own take on these. We've got like the initial stuff that was already here by whoever the author was. I don't remember anymore. And then we've got our own stuff to just kind of dig into it a little bit more. So number 52 is Goblin Slave Armies. And Lotus, this one is another Morrowind one.
Yes.
So the original entry here says, according to Fedris Hlur, Hler, Hlur.
Yeah, we went over this before the show. Assuming it's in the same vein as like Hlalu type of deal, which it makes sense.
Yeah, because there's not many words.
If they ever, I'm not
HL.
sure they ever pronounce his name. Since not everything was voice acted in Morrowind. I don't know if they ever say his.
Don't
assume they don't.
Don't know, but here's the details. Traditionally, the Altmer have used the goblins to reinforce their armies. This is the only mention of them being used in armies, but ESO does support the idea of goblins as slaves with numerous examples. Okay, but what is actually going on here? This is from a quest in Morrowind, and I'm going to read through. I've got a quick summary about what this is. So Fedris Hlur tasks you, the Nerevarine, with investigating rumors of a massive, aggressive goblin army brewing in the ancient subterranean ruins beneath the city of Mournhold, specifically under the God's Reach residential district. The temple views this hidden army as an existential threat to the city and a direct move by the newly crowned king of Morrowind, Hlalu Helseth, to build a personal, disposable military force to seize absolute power.
That is a rough way of describing a culture.
Yeah,
we need a disposable military.
I mean, that's how they treat them, right? Like, that's
without a doubt,
exactly,
without a doubt.
Right,
it's just kind of like, oh man, that is cut and dry. Youch.
Yeah. So the player, you must venture deep into the treacherous maze-like God's Reach sewers and the underlying ruins, and remember what dungeons were like in Morrowind. The tiers of Amun-She and Terran Hall to neutralize this specific goblin threat. To break this army, the player is ordered to assassinate its leadership, 2 goblin war chiefs, Logo Brew and Uriame, something like that.
Rolls right off the tongue.
Right off the tongue. And 2 Altmer trainers. Notice the connection here. Goblins and Altmer together. Armion and Yarmia. Upon killing them, the threat collapses, and Fedris Hlur rewards the player with a 15,000 gold reward, which is pretty high. So
yeah, I was going to say for Morrowind, that's a hefty bit of cash.
Right, but it makes sense. You basically felled an army for them, right? Like,
sure.
So it's worth a lot of money.
I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, this is some late game stuff. You can't really functionally do this early game. It's been a very long time, but I believe this requires a relatively high level to do.
Right. So here's where things get interesting. If you ask Fedris Hlur about the situation, he explains that, and this is his quote, traditionally the Altmer have used the goblins to reinforce their armies. Now, in the lore, the Altmer of Somerset Isles have long viewed the goblins as being like lesser expendable
like most
race.
beast races are referred to oftentimes. Yep.
Right. Like they're not real people. And so, of course, they use them for whatever they want because they don't respect them as people. Right.
Mhm.
But also some of the Altmer don't respect any of the other races as people. So that's
barely
part of
even
its
respect
thing.
each other at this point.
Right. And we're going to get into some other weird Altmer stuff in a little bit later in the episode because there's some other severe stuff that
Really screwed up one later.
pretty screwed up. But clearly they only value their own lives. They use these people as slaves, and that seems to be a thing. And it makes sense for King Helsith. Words are hard. Because he's a master politician and schemer. He covertly imported these specifically savage goblins into the ruins beneath the city capital, knowing his political rivals would look down on such tactics. He did it in secrecy because he's not Altmer, but now he's utilizing the methods of the Altmer in order to basically amass an army, right? So this is clearly not like a Dunmer thing because there's no other stuff in the lore about Dunmer and their institutional knowledge with like taming and weaponizing goblins. And so that's not a piece of it. And really, this just focuses back on the Altmer being the ones who do this with a little bit of support, like it said in ESO, for the way that they treat goblins in the second era. But there really isn't anything else out there about this. We don't have other examples of Altmer using goblin armies or stories of Tiber Septim attacking their homeland and them like sending goblins out to like, fill
Right. I mean, there
the
are
manpower.
goblin groups and armies and stuff like that. So to then have a scenario where you weaponize a group of them, I mean, it tracks. Like it doesn't seem weird necessarily,
Right.
but it's just not necessarily a common practice either. But oftentimes, when you deal with goblins, it's like they're in tribes and groups like a lot of others. So like just having an organized group is all right. It's fine. Like even if it's just a one-off, like, hey, you convince this group of them, or you're not really convincing them if you're more or less enslaving them to do it. But
True.
but yeah, I was going to say, okay, well, whatever. We'll see how effective they are. I wonder if it was more effective, would it have become more of a thing that they tried?
Yeah, or if this, like, it's odd. The events of Morrowind take place in the Third Era. Like this is not early history stuff. And Fedris seems to have been aware that this was a common Altmer thing to do, but we don't really have a whole lot of examples.
We
of
never really hear about it. There
Yeah.
is also the chance that it's just like nobody really thought it was worth documenting.
Right. Or it's just something
you just refer to it as part of your army, and it's like, well, sure, but it's like our army was made of whatever we had, and maybe they didn't specifically note, like, oh, by the way, it was goblins that we used, or weaklings, or whatever the situation. Maybe it was just like, yeah, there was this army, and they just didn't. You never really got a scenario where somebody noted exactly who you were fighting.
Right. Or like they always put them on the front line, and so they died really quickly. And then by the time the other more interesting parts of the battle happened, it was like the regular soldiers.
Right. Like one shout, and you could probably get some goblins pretty airborne. So
that's probably true. Yes. Yeah. Can you? Oh man, I want to see that. I want to see that like in a TV show. I want to see like Tiber Septim walk forward and then like blast a bunch of goblins off a mountain and be like, all right, send the rest of your armies, or whatever. I don't know even what accent he would have had, but
I was gonna say they just throw like 10,000 goblins at the Numidium during one of the fights.
right, and they're all like, hitting the feet.
It looks like a cheesy Godzilla movie,
right? And then the Numidium just like steps on them like as it walks. Yeah. That'd be great. But yeah, that seems to be a thing. It seems to be something that we don't see too much of. But it also, now that we're shifting from thinking about the past to the future, this comes up a lot. Like, what are we going to see in Elder Scrolls 6 in future games? Right. Will we see a conflict with the Altmer and them utilizing goblin armies? And what's even crazier about this is that it didn't seem to be just like a one-off thing in the sense that the Altmer who were training these and working with them and Fedris Hlur, it's not like they just grabbed like a random regular goblin group. All of these goblins were bigger and stronger and very well armed and seemingly trained.
So it seemed like they kind of specifically targeted we'll say a clan or something like that, or a tribe of them, maybe specifically due to their physical prowess, where it's like, that's just it. It's seemed a little more specific with this scenario, but you can also have that. I mean, different armies like different. So it's why so often, like in real world, it's like, oh, Spartans and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, Spartans aren't representative of all people at the time.
Right, right. But another point here is that the Spartans didn't just become Spartans overnight.
Correct.
It was hundreds of years of
Exactly.
culture. So maybe this was a group that didn't just like become these warlike goblins on their own. Maybe they were designed and conditioned to be bigger by the Altmer.
Yep.
Yeah. So that leads all sorts of weird thoughts about genetic experiments.
I was
and
going to say weird eugenics now going on in the the Elder Scrolls. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this feels like. So there you go. And it would be weird, but also kind of cool and also terrifying to see this come back.
Also horrifying.
So that's number 52. Let's move on to the next one. This one is labeled Cloven Duality. Cloven as in like split. So here's the summary. Term used to refer to the dichotomy of opposing ideals fundamental to Lorkhan's nature. So now we're talking gods again. Lorkhan, of course, comes back all the time. This term appears in the Lunar Lorkhan, used in context of describing the moons, Masar and Secunda, as being the sundered corpse of Lorkhan, which represents his duality. But it should be noted that the term itself does not refer to a specific theory of the moons. So, Lotus, we get a lot of this like splits and dualities and opposites.
Very much.
In the lore. We get a lot of that in the real world as well, but in Elder Scrolls lore, there's things like Anu
it's a
and
constant
Padme.
theme. Yes, it's a constant theme, and it transcends any individual race or culture. Like they all have sort of aspects of this, whether it's their creation story or their god. I mean, literally, Vivek is like as on the nose as it can physically be, because they're two different colors, like they're split down the middle to represent the two cultures.
Khmer
so it's like
and Dunmer.
Correct. So it's just like it's such a consistent theme throughout the Elder Scrolls.
Yeah, and it goes back to like the earliest parts of the understood lore. This idea of Anu and Padme being opposites, order and chaos, light and darkness, whatever, and those two things merging together, and then theories about how that becomes Akatosh / Lorkhan, and there's a lot of support for Akatosh and Lorkhan are the same thing. They're just two aspects of that same god. And so the idea that like Akatosh tears out the heart of Lorkhan is in some ways Akatosh doing that to himself.
Sure.
And that stuff gets really crazy. But then Lorkhan's body being split and broken is a whole nother thing. This is explained in interesting ways in the lore and other places where they'll talk about how the Aedra are planets, are actual physical planets that are up in the sky, right?
That one it's been a while since we've done that episode, but there is an episode we did on that, if I remember correctly.
Right. And if that's the case,
we get into the necromancer's moon and stuff.
Right. And if that's the case, then Masar and Secunda being two pieces of moon that may have once been a planet combined already together seems to be in line with that theory about the other Aedra actually being physical places and planets. Or having manifested as that at some point, So there is something here. This is a theme that you see a lot, and it comes back over and over and over again, like you said.
For sure. And this one I can also say, though, this seems like the way we've been referring to some of the iceberg chunks, I guess you'll call them. It's what the chunks.
Yeah,
the ice cubes. Some of them are just like, it's in the game. Like, this is one of the ones where it's kind of interesting because yes, it is in the game, but it's also a little more subtle because it's there if you look for it. But if you just bring this up, it's not the same as like, I did this quest in Skyrim. Right. This one's kind of like, well, no, these are themes that are explored throughout the series. So it's like, okay, I can see this one being icebergy a bit. Yeah,
you have to notice the theme, and then you start to notice it everywhere. That's how themes usually work, right? You kind of,
for sure.
You're only subconsciously aware of them, but then somebody points out and goes, "Did you notice? There's a pattern. This, and this," and you
like,
go,
"Oh, yeah, there is. How about that?" Right.
Right. So that's more what this is about. And you see this pattern all over the place. ESO got further into the Masar Secunda stuff with the Elsewhere DLC and their connection to the Khajiit and their belief about Lorkhan and all of that. Lorkaj. So that's all fun. So if you want to dig deeper into that, I'm sure we did episodes that discuss some of this stuff, but you can also just play that expansion. You'll get a little bit more. You actually get to go to the moons, which is crazy.
Yes, you literally get to.
Is it just one of them?
I believe it's Jode you go to. It's
Jode and Jode. So that's Secunda.
Yeah, that expansion was, oh Lord, 2019, I think.
Jeez, man, where does the time go? All right, so going back in time to expansions. All right, let's move on to number 54. Now, this is another Altmer one, and this one, speaking of Spartans, feels very Spartan.
Sure does.
I just have to say it, and I hope this doesn't get demonetized in some form or another.
Late.
It says,
brace for demonetization.
This is a quote. This is not me saying it. This is a quote, and I'm going to say it in a funny way. Altmer Baby Killing.
I appreciate you trying to get around the robot algorithms that are going to just slap us with a whole bunch of horrible stuff.
So here's what the entry says. This is before we did any of our stuff on it. It says, an imperial scholar reported on his visit to the Somerset Isles by saying that the majority of Altmer babies are killed for eugenics purposes. Whether this is true or simply propaganda is unknown. Okay, so who is the scholar? Where does this come from? Like, what is actually going on here? This is in the pocket guide, the Empire's first edition of the pocket guide to the Empire, and this is in the section about the Aldmeri Dominion.
Right.
And we have to understand, this is something that was put together by the Empire. We've talked about this before, but it was something that is very clearly written by Imperials, for Imperials, especially the aristocracy.
It is 100% designed to be propaganda.
Absolutely. So, and this reference goes back to the First Era 2820, and specifically a journal by Eric of Guise. So this was Emperor Riemann's emissary to the Altmer.
Yes.
Way back in the day. And here's the one passage where this comes up. Let me know what you think about this, Lotus. It says, the relevant quote here, and that's my notes, the relevant quote, here's the quote, of particular scarcity is information about either the High Elves or the Somerset Isles. During the Second Empire, ambassadors were allowed only in the capital of Alinor, and thus the only description of the Altmeri homelands is confined to that city alone. And elsewhere, see places of note Alinor. So this is a little reference inside the guide itself. Furthermore, we can offer only this brief but reliable account of the High Elven people. It comes from
there. It's reliable. Clearly.
It's reliable, and then it specifically tells us it comes from the journals of Eric of Guise, maybe Riemann's emissary to the Altmer, maybe, who lived with them in the First Era 2820. Here is his quote. High Elves consider themselves to be the only perfect race. Straight off the bat.
This tracks.
So far. All right. Over hundreds of generations, they have bred themselves into a racially pure line and are now almost identical to one another in appearance. They almost look identical. There's no difference between them. How racist does this sound? Anyway, let's keep going. The theory that the High Elves do not reproduce as quickly or as often as humans is false. Rather, to my horror, they kill 9 out of 10 babies born to them in their obsession for purity. Further quote, the Altmer despise other elves as unsophisticated churls and barely consider the non-Aldmeri races at all. They pay their imperial tithes, I'm sure, not for fear of war with the humans, but rather to keep an invasion from infecting their islands. Okay, so what do you think about this, Lotus?
This is pretty funny because there's several parts of this that are, well, like we just discussed. This is clearly propaganda. Like the thing that's funny, like not haha funny, but like interesting, is the fact that some of this actually does track with your interactions. So it isn't necessarily straight false per se, but it even reads as like a fear tactic of like, oh my God, look at these people, look what they would do type of thing. They're clearly just like, it's the exact same idea as what they're trying to freak people out about, but it's like, oh yeah, you don't want to view them as anybody that you can relate to because they're so horrible. And we're going to tell you how horrible they are because of all these things, so that you would be horrible to them if this situation arises.
Right. The nature of dehumanizing your enemy.
Yes.
And saying like, look how racist they are,
yes.
while completely ignoring the fact that you are being racist towards them.
Yes. Right. But it is funny because just with some of the interactions you do have in game, and granted the Eldmeri Dominion has different, I don't know how you'd refer to it, phases of the Eldmeri Dominion, because it depends on what era it takes place in.
Yes.
And now there's definitely some underpinnings of issues throughout them, obviously. But I would argue that second era Eldmeri Dominion's a lot different than fourth era Eldmeri Dominion. So like, it's one of those things where you never know what maybe he did see at the time and expanded it out to like, well, they're all like this or something like that.
Or came with preconceived notions and then interpreted what they saw in the worst light possible.
Yeah. Correct. Right. But it's interesting, and that one's pretty screwed up. It's also the only time we ever hear about any of that stuff.
Yeah, and it feels very, very, again, there are real world influences here. Like it feels very like the Spartans. We talked about the Spartans, and they absolutely
they would get rid of the weak.
Yep, they would absolutely practiced eugenics on their own people. There wasn't a word back then for that, but that's what they did. Yep. And this has happened in other places as well. So this is, I don't know, it feels possible, but again, we don't get any other references to specifically the part about killing 9 out of 10. That sort of thing.
Exactly. And I think this is mostly propaganda is how it comes across. Right. But and again, with the minimal amount of sources for this type of thing, it definitely comes across as one of the many, many in-lore one-off, like, hey, we got to try to have our cause here garner some traction. Yeah. So here we're going to do this. And it's just like, okay, well, yes, that's fine, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's actually the case. So
yeah, if ever, here's a fun thing to do. This is one of those patterns you notice about the way people work over time, is the less somebody's in a specific group, the worse their takes are about that group.
Oh yeah.
Or that thing. Here's a way to do it. If you meet somebody who ever has like a really bad take on like you shouldn't go there because those people are like that, ask them about something that it doesn't have to do with people or culture or racism or anything like that. Ask them about something that they think they have skill in, but they don't. And you have more skill in that. And chances are they will give you a oh, well, you know how to fix a car, right? Yeah, I can fix a car. Well, I've been having this problem with this thing. Chances are their assumptions are also wrong about the way cars work. Or whatever, right? This is just the way we are as human beings, is that when you are not within a circle of knowledge, you generally have bad takes about that circle.
Right.
And so there you go.
You have no context to what's actually the situation. So it's just like, oh, here's my, aerial view of what's going on. And I'm going to try to sound educated.
Right.
Which doesn't really just speak to what you know.
Right. So if you aren't part of a people group, then we should all just walk around with an assumption that our assumptions are flawed, because we're not inside that group. So we don't know. So yeah, this happens, of course, in the real world. And of course you get this, which absolutely feels like propaganda and racism. And on top of it, if there is a little information coming from other sources, then the source can say anything they want because there's nothing to contradict their claims.
Right. If there's one source, it's kind of hard to verify much of the information.
Exactly. So there you go. So were they killing their babies? We don't really know. Yeah. It's possible, but it also might have totally gotten blown out of proportion or just completely made up.
Or again, one of these situations where one group does not necessarily apply to all groups, because I would like to think of myself as not a Spartan. So
right. Well, that would be like somebody, for like, we're both Americans, somebody coming and seeing something a terrible Florida man does, and then assuming all Americans do that thing. And it's like,
wow, Lotus and Tom literally eat people's faces. Insane.
They eat people's faces. Yeah. I don't know what else can't think of any other. There was a lady did something terrible. Oh, some guy. No, I won't go into it. Yeah, no, there's some terrible stuff. And
I was going to say somebody was baptized down there with iced tea, I believe.
I hadn't heard about that one, but
yeah, that was one. It came up recently. I'm pretty sure that was one of the funnier ones. They were on meth.
Yeah. In case anybody doesn't know, the reason why there's so much weird news about people in Florida isn't because people in Florida are that much different than people who do weird things in other places. It's because there's a law that says that those things, the things that go through the legal system, can be reported on before there's any form of conviction or anything.
Yeah.
So all of that's like, you get arrested for doing something weird, that becomes public knowledge right away. Whereas in other states, not so much. So
yes,
there you go. But here, let's move on. This is number 55. This is another good one, and it's weird. Khajiit Fur Trade.
This one is very weird.
Okay, so here we go. Confessions of a Khajiit Fur Trader details the life of a merchant that butchered Khajiit and Argonians and sold their hides. The term itself is a double entendre, as in a merchant is a Khajiit fur trader because they are a Khajiit and they trade furs, or you could also read that as Khajiit Fur Trader, somebody who trades Khajiit
like a traitor.
furs.
Yes.
Right. Trader and traitor too. Yeah. So not just Khajiit as in the person trades furs, but it also is Khajiit furs that are traded, but also that person would then be a traitor.
A traitor.
It's a double double entendre.
Yes, it's like
a quadruple
triple entendre.
I don't know how many. I'm running out of numbers.
There's a lot of entendres.
A lot of entendres. So this one comes from a book, and the book itself is called Confessions of a Khajiit Fur Trader with a D.
Trader. With a D. Yes, in trading.
All right. This one's not that long. I think we should.
No, it's actually pretty short.
It's pretty short. All right. I think we should read it because it'll be fun. Yeah. So all right, here's this is interesting. My execution is tomorrow. The turnkey asks what I'd like for my last meal. Bring me paper, I say, a quill and a candle. Perhaps the Jarl would like a confession. I would rather pass the time. When my father's harem burned down and our family fortune was lost to the ashes, my brother and I set to begging in the gutters of elsewhere. I will never forget the first time we stole a traveler's purse. It was almost by accident, just a slip of the claw, and the pouch fell into our hands. We ate like kings that night. We slept in a warm bed for the first time in months. This totally plays into stereotypes about Khajiit and other places in the Empire. Soon after, my brother and I took up the knife. The gang we joined treated us as the dirty orphans we were. We robbed, we scammed, we cut and ran, and years of debauchery and hard living took their toll. I lost half my ear, my left ear, in a knife fight with a blind, drunk Argonian. That sounds like a great story. I wanted to give up, but my brother...
another day.
Yeah. He dreamed bigger, better. My brother wanted to make it to Cyrodiil and become legit merchants. We had a plan. One final heist of a northbound caravan said to be filled with jewels. Something went wrong. My brother could not stop the horses on time, and I stood helplessly by and watched the wagon plummet over a cliff. But as I picked through the wreckage, my devastation turned to excitement. There were no jewels, but there were plenty of luxurious wolf pelts, horker tusks, and mammoth hides, more than enough to buy my way to Cyrodiil. I'd follow in the footsteps of so many of my kind, a traveling merchant, someone with a respectable profession. I had all the furs bundled in my pack when I saw my brother's broken body. His ears were still warm, and I shut his eyes for the last time. This was his dream, but he would want me to go. And what I wanted, well, the caravan guards were coming. I had to go, but I couldn't just leave his body to rot. My brother gave me my first skin. No.
Yeah.
This is where this goes. It was to be a memento, but in the darkness of the fence's cabin, the coin hit my hand heavy. Then she looked at my brother's pelt and offered 3 times the amount of any other fur. Disgust caught in my throat. Not when you skinned your brother, but when you were going to sell it.
Look, it was just skinning. It was fine.
It was fine.
He probably liked it.
This is what all the Khajiit do anyway. It's totally fine. This is not what the other Khajiit. I've never heard of this anywhere else. So disgust caught in my throat, but did not live very long. I realized the cost of such a forbidden luxury, the value, the demand, the respect. This is what I wanted.
Respect.
It became easier. A dark alley, a gag in one hand, and a quick slice across the throat. Gently hold the body as it bleeds. I became faster, my cuts precise and fluid. I peeled the skin with one motion and kept the merchandise pristine in one piece. I became rich, far richer than anyone in my family had ever been. Yet I was careful. My stronghold was well hidden and practically impenetrable. I hired the men that used to employ me. We moved frequently on less traveled roads when we hunted in the wild. We stalked the back alleys we used to sleep in when we hunted in the city. I grew so rich that I no longer needed to dirty my own hands, hunting other Khajiit, basically, not like wildlife. Patchwork colored furs fetched the best price among the Bosmer. Argonians preferred the pelt completely skinned and tanned. Orcs prized the thick, waterproof leather of the Argonians. Humans most often bought tails and ears. I had to employ an alchemist and a master craftsman for a couple odd requests, but I didn't ask questions when the gold piled up, and now I'm a prisoner. Maybe I became careless. Maybe I let too many secrets slip between the sheets. Oh boy. The raid of my fortress was a massacre. They took me alive barely. That was the mistake. My enemies should have killed me when they had the chance. I have one lockpick, and the northern wall of my cell is weak from disrepair. My head shall not roll tomorrow. I am not finished with the trade. There will always be buyers. Someday, I will sell my own skin for a king's ransom, as my name is a legend, and yours shall rot in the gutters with your bones. The Fur Trader. So good. This is a real good one.
Yeah, that one is super dark, super messed up. And it's also funny because it's like, it goes from a really just like, okay, I have no morals to better myself, to by the end, it's the thrill of the situation that is clearly keeping him going, has nothing to do with making money anymore.
Yeah, it becomes like a psychosis.
Like, no, I'm just, yes, it's just like, no, I am just a legend that does this. It's like, yikes, you're getting a lot of enjoyment out of your job.
Yeah, it's all like narcissistic ego and like, this is who I am, you'll never catch me.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, purposely being a little bit sloppy to see if somebody picks up on it, that sort of thing. Yeah, it's dark. Now, this book comes from ESO and Dawnguard. I believe it first showed up in Dawnguard and then came out and was also used in ESO. So it doesn't go back that long, but it's a mainline game story. And
Right.
I love these, like, the little twists. Like, these stories can be so good when they're like, oh, here's a fun little story. And it's like, and then it gets real dark. And
yeah,
that's always fun. So there's not much debate here. This one is pretty obvious that the Fur Trader is clearly what they're saying they're doing. Like this.
Right.
There's no ambiguity here, right? Like, this is exactly who they are and what's happening.
No, this is literally just, this is one of the ones that I'm like, this isn't really an Iceberg thing. This is just one of the stories in game.
Right. But it raises questions. Who is the Fur Trader? Are they still alive? Are they a character that you can walk past in Skyrim and not realize you're walking? You just think they're a Khajiit who's a trader in one of the towns. Is it Maik? We don't know. Yeah, so that one's a lot of fun for those reasons. If you have theories about who the Fur Trader is, I have not heard any, but I would love for somebody to be like, okay, if you go to this town, you can find this Khajiit, and you can find hints here that seem to imply that they're not just only trading regular goods. So if you know something like that, let us know, because that might show up in Skyrim somewhere. All right, we've got one more to cover this week. This is number 56, Greybeards Hiding Dragon. You ready for this one, Lotus?
Let's do it.
The Greybeards hide their dragon master, Paarthurnax, or Party Snacks, on the summit of the throat of the world. Okay. Now, this is one of those ones that you go, wait a minute, are they hiding the dragon? Like, what do you remember about the relationship between the Greybeards and Paarthurnax? Do you feel like they were like particularly close? Like,
it seemed more of a reverence thing where it's just like, we know that Paarthurnax has like immense power, but I would almost say that the big thing with them that kind of has some type of, I don't know, connection, or the fact that maybe not hiding him so much as just like, oh, well, I mean, I guess, because nobody really thought dragons were around, and Paarthurnax is just chilling chilling up there.
Right. That's true. That's true.
But yeah, to a degree, but just their reaction if you kill Paarthurnax at the decision-making junction, I guess. Spoilers for an option you can take in Skyrim.
Yeah, right.
But like that is something you can physically do in Skyrim, just like with most of the Elder Scrolls games. You can kind of run amok and do what you want. You can actually kill Paarthurnax, and they are pissed.
Yeah, so there's a connection there. Like it's not like
right.
Like there is something going on. Okay, so the reference that I could find that seems to support this is by Camilla Calcivius.
Calcivius, yeah.
Calcivius. Yeah, Lore Masters.
It's Calcivius, actually.
Lore Masters Archive, Dragons in the Second Era. And it reads like an interview. This was a ESO Lore Masters Archive thing that was released after Skyrim. So take that for what you will. This is not a Skyrim document. But it does make a reference here, and it's in the final question in this archive. It says, the question is, are there such a things as modern era dragons that aren't wholly interested in death, domination, and fire? This is like an interview question, right? And now remember, this comes out in ESO, which means this was well before the events of Skyrim by hundreds of years.
Right.
The response is, well, no, to be perfectly frank, dragons do occasionally find common cause with mortals. The red giant Nafalar, we've talked about all the weird dragon names before. For instance, I've even heard rumors of a dragon monk who dwells among the Nord aesthetics and the throat of the world. But even these exceptional dragons cannot escape their intrinsic nature. At least, I don't think they can. So, the dragon monk is Paarthurnax, right?
Yeah, would assume.
And the Nord aesthetics, even toward the end of the Second Era, were the Greybeards. So we know that Paarthurnax kind of just hung out and like meditated and did other things over the years. Right. Because he didn't engage with the stuff the other dragons were doing.
One of the big thing was overcoming his nature of being like a brutal general in the dragon armies. Like, his goal was to change what he was, type of thing.
Yeah. So maybe this is implying things that Skyrim doesn't tell us about where he was prior to the events of Skyrim. In fact, in previous ages of the world. And maybe he spent some time on the throat of the world because it was a place few people would ever visit and wouldn't be able to
just like, I'll just be out of the way and unbothered.
Right. But it also kind of makes sense. If he was trying to change his ways, he was trying to be more helpful towards mankind or whatever, then maybe there's an argument to be made that a lot of the knowledge that the Greybeards had came directly from Paarthurnax while he was hiding out on the mountain.
And I think that is very likely. That tracks, especially because it's like, I think there was a reverence there. And as a result, it was like shared knowledge type of deal. And, they probably tried to make it so that he could just stay up there and do his own thing and, limit the amount that he's flying around and stuff like that, and probably drawing attention to himself.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he doesn't need to fly around. And if if they're feeding him or something, then they could be catching like deer and tossing him something to eat or whatever. So that could work out. It's interesting to me, though, that this only comes up in ESO. And it's like the question becomes, was this part of the backstory that was always there? And there just was very little reference, as far as I can tell, in Skyrim to it? Or was this more of a like, oh, they filled in as many gaps as they were willing to do when they made Skyrim, but we've noticed over the years that there's kind of this hole in the story, in Paarthurnax's story. So if we go back to the Second Era, maybe that's what he was doing. And then so like that becomes new lore that's added in to kind of fill in those gaps that wasn't originally part of the story for Skyrim. But that doesn't mean it's bad, and that's just the way you build lore, especially as you release new games.
Right. I was going to say, you need to keep adding to things in order to expand them.
Right. So it doesn't, like, some people will say, well, that's an ESO thing, so it's not canon or whatever. And it's like, yeah, that's not really how that works. But
yeah, no, okay, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. But it's
I think okay to be wrong.
I think it's cool. Like, and if you think about their monastery. Think about the area when you go in the back and you do the dash thing because you get that shout for the first time. There's some room up there. Like, I could imagine a dragon like using that as a place to rest and be when it's not, I don't know, doing other things.
Right, for sure. Also, are the fireworks coming through on my mic? Sorry.
No, they're not. Everyone's celebrating the fourth already.
Yes, it's
no, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Just curious.
So I don't know. I don't have any other thoughts about this other than like, that's cool.
No, me
that
either.
Makes sense.
Yep. I think so too. Yeah. I think it tracks. It seems likely.
Yeah. So there you go. Greybeards hiding a dragon. Maybe they did. And that seems, it seems like a thing they would do.
Yeah, no, it really does. And the definition of how much it's hidden, you can kind of have up for debate.
Right. So there you go. That's number 56, and that's going to do it for the list this week. But we've got more to get to, and as I look at them, they're pretty cool. There's one on here titled "Giants Are Orcs." That's going to be fun. But we're going to take a quick break, and then we've got our patrons to thank and the random UESP page for the end of the show. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
This is Hamis Morak, Dragonborn, and you are educating yourself to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast.
All right, we are back, and we've got to welcome our newest patron, Nicholas D. Thank you for signing up. So glad that you're here, and thank you for your support. And we have to shout out all of our top tier patrons, our Dragonborns. I don't have the screen wide enough to show it. Oh no, they're Daedric Princes. Dragonborns, the tier before that. I totally forgot the name. Our Daedric Princes, Kira C, Blinding Vision, Haircene, Peter R, and Mintaka. Thank you so much for your support. And to all of the other people supporting the show, thank you so much for being here. And we don't have any new reviews this week, but if you would like to help out, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and we'll read that out on a future episode, or leave a nice comment on Spotify and a 5-star review over there. It's something I've been dabbling in. We, for a little while, we did the thing where we like read out people writing into us, but the site I used like changed and I couldn't log in anymore. Something got weird. So it's one of those things I've been debating. Maybe we'll start reading out some comments every so often when people comment on Spotify. So if you've got something nice to say, please do it on there. That would be wonderful.
And I was going to say to the note, I was going to say like, since like you said, I was going to say Apple, it's a lot of people left like worded reviews. I know the Spotify is the comment thing, but on that note, it's just like the amount of stars people give us. It's also super appreciated because we have a lot of reviews.
4.9 out of on Apple right now. It's 341 ratings. We've got,
and we're like 4.7 or 4.8 or whatever, but like there's just
way
so
more than that on
many of
Spotify.
you. Yeah, so many of you have reviewed it, so that's very nice of all of you.
Yeah, thank you everybody. All of this stuff absolutely helps. And
no, it's very helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I've got the random page up. Before we do that, anything else going on you want to share, Lotus?
No, not really. I was going to say, I'm hoping that everything's not exploding in the background. For anybody watching the live feed, Boots is looking around like, are we being invaded? Do I need to attack someone
Boots.
or are we good? She's actually super chill with fireworks, luckily. She just looks around. She's like, should I be concerned? And as long as she knows I'm not, she's like, all right, I'll go back to bed.
Good.
But no, that aside, we're hopefully going to be recording an episode of Tales this weekend to kind of discuss the new stuff that's been added. We're going into season 1 and out of season 0 in the Elder Scrolls Online. And I've just been enjoying playing around with I jumped back into PvP a bunch. So, and in terms of that, we've had more people join the guild on PlayStation North America. If you are interested in that, feel free to send me a message because at the moment, I'm having trouble getting access to the document thing anymore.
Oh,
It logged me out, and we've been trying to get me in, and it's not working.
Okay. Well, we'll see what we can do about that.
Yeah, whatever. But let me know. A couple of people messaged me. They're like, "Yeah, I sent a thing," and I've tried to send them invites at this point, just because I was able to browse through it. But what do you call it? I think we're going to try somewhat soon to group up and do some of the higher difficulty, like Vestige, Master, stuff like that. Map clearing, so people can get their achievements for doing the higher difficulty stuff, because it's actually pretty fun when you run in as a group on one of the higher difficulties. We had talked about that a little bit, the different difficulty sliders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's achievements tethered to that, so having a good group for that might make it fun for people.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. And they're still working on crossplay, maybe one day being a thing.
I know, it's
So
As soon as that happens,
it seems like a thing that's like it's not done, but it's definitely something they've said
that it's finally being worked on pretty. Like I don't know how aggressively, but I do know that it's on the block of being worked on, which is awesome.
Yeah, and it must be going well enough for them to admit that publicly, so that's nice.
Yes, I feel like until it was making progress and was in full development, they weren't going to say anything, which was what we got for so many years.
Yeah, well, hopefully there'll be the ability to combine guilds and that kind of thing. So
that's what I would love, because we could just get everybody into one universal one. I'll be very curious to see how it works in the end.
Yeah, that would be great. So very cool stuff. My stuff is basically the same as usual. There's the Fallout Lorecast, the Lord of the Rings Lorecast, and Retro Recall. We're playing through a bunch of early RPGs, so that should be fun. If you want to go check that out, and the most recent episodes coming out this month. And I don't know, not a whole lot of other things going on in the network. But if you'd like to join the network and be part of this and have somebody, myself, help you launch a podcast and make sure that you know what you're doing when you do it to make it as successful as possible, go to robotsradio.net, check out the Rocket Club section and see if it's your thing. But here we go. We've got the random page, and we didn't talk about any ghosts or anything this week, but we did get, this is kind of a bummer. It's a Blades entry.
Oh, that's brutal.
This is what happens. You hit the random button.
For context, Blades is now officially shut down. I warned everybody in advance that it was happening, and it's officially shut down. So
can't play it anymore.
An extra twist of the blade that we got a blade.
It's
Blades wiki
under the category Blades, Items, Materials, Alchemy Materials, and it's Ectoplasm, which shows up in multiple games. It's Ectoplasm is an alchemy material used to brew tier 5, 6, and 7 potions and poisons in Blades specifically. This is the Blades version of that, but of course you can find Ectoplasm in other games. So there you go. There's not a whole lot of details, 480 gold, some other little details here, who it's sold by and things like that. Quality is uncommon. So,
you get it from squeezing ghosts.
Just squeeze and get the goo out of the ghosts.
You just wring them out like a towel.
What do you do for a living? I'm a ghost farmer.
Yeah.
I'm a ghost squeezer.
Ghost squeezer. Yep. Ectoplasm, also known as ghost squeezins.
Comes in like milk carts. Containers at the store.
Yep. I was going to say, there's a bunch of cartons in one of those milk containers. Yep.
Yeah. It's like, it looks like milk until you shake it, and then it's just like, the consistency is just not right.
It's like swirly. It almost looks like that stuff in a lava lamp. Why are we talking
about there you go. Ectoplasm. So that's our random page for the week. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. I hope you're enjoying the icebergs as much as we are. And live chat, thank you for being here. Ghost Goo. Yeah, that's right, Reverend.
Ghost Goo, exactly.
Yeah, so thanks for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we will be back next week with more iceberg lore stuff. So don't go finding that lore on your own. Wait for us to explain it. That doesn't make any sense.
Spend your time squeezing ghosts.
Go squeeze a ghost, and then we'll fill you in with more lore. All right. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Have a great one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Elder Scrolls Lorecast. Check out robotsradio.net for more podcasts just like this, and join us on the Robots Radio Discord. Be part of a community of over 5,000 people who are excited about video games and so much more. Robots Radio. Games, lore, stories, community. Just press play.